name Nur Iman Sofia, and today we would like to present about our subject, Eco 162, Microeconomics. Our topic today is Singapore, and our chosen product is Age. Let me start with Introduction 1.1 Country and Location. Singapore, officially known as the Republic of Singapore, is an island nation and city-state located in Southeast Asia. It consists of one island and several smaller islands situated at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula. Its strategic location has made Singapore an important hub for international connectivity and trade. Let's continue to 1.2 Population. As of June 2025, Singapore's population was about 6.11 million, consisting of residents and non-residents such as foreign workers and international students. Singapore is a multicultural society with diverse ethnic and religious groups, commonly classified under the CMIO system. In Singapore, have Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others, where Chinese form the majority. This diversity reflects Singapore's inclusive and multicultural national identity. 1.3 Economic background. Singapore has a well-developed mixed market economy with active government involvement in key sectors. The country is known for its business-friendly environment, low corruption, and low tax rates, which contribute to high economic growth and living standards. Both private firms and government-linked companies such as those under Temasek Holdings play important roles, while strong foreign direct investment (FDI) is supported by political stability and a transparent legal system. Let's continue about report purposes and scopes. The purpose of this report is to describe basic microeconomics concepts and issues, and to apply microeconomics knowledge and reasoning to explain consumer, producer, and market behavior in relation to economic issues and policies. Other than that, this report made for fulfill one of the academic requirements as directed by the university. The scope of this report focuses on several key areas related to Singapore's economy. It explains Singapore's economic system and analyzes how demand and supply interact to determine market equilibrium in real-world situations. The report also evaluates the responsiveness of demand and supply using elasticity measures, explain consumer choice in Singapore based on the utility theory framework, and examines how wages are determined in a perfectly competitive labor market in Singapore.
Now, I will explain the type of economic system practiced in Singapore. Singapore practices a mixed economic system based on capitalism. Most economic activity are determined by the free market, but the government plays an important role by setting economic policies, law, and providing public service. Individuals and firms are free to make economic decisions, while the government intervenes in essential sector. 2.2 Resources allocation and economic decision. Since Singapore practices a mixed economic system, the responsibility for solving basic economic problems is shared between individuals and the government. These basic economic problems include what to produce, how much to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. First, what to produce. This decision is mainly based on consumer demand and market price. Individuals and firms decide what goods and services to produce based on market demand and profit. At the same time, the government ensures the production or supply of essential goods such as food and eggs to meet basic needs. Second, how much to produce. The quantity of goods and services produced depends on demand and supply in the market. Individuals and firms decide how much to produce based on consumer demand. However, the government ensures the sufficient essential goods are produced or imported to prevent shortage. Third, how to produce. Producers choose the most efficient production method to reduce costs and increase output. Individuals and firms use modern technology and skilled labor, while the government enforce regulation, ensure safety standards, and support key industry. Finally, for whom to produce. Goods and services are produced based on market demand, social needs, and income distribution. Individuals and firms produce goods for consumers who are able to pay, focusing on profit and market demand. Meanwhile, the government ensures the essential goods and services are accessible to the public, especially to those in need, in order to maintain social welfare.
Next, I will explain about demand and supply analysis for our product. Our chosen product is egg. Eggs are a basic food item widely used by households, restaurants, and food businesses because they are affordable, nutritious, and versatile. About 70% of eggs consumed in Singapore are imported, while local production is gradually increasing through food security initiatives and technology-driven farms such as Choose Agriculture. Local production currently meets around 30 to 34% of total demand, especially for premium and ethical egg products. The main sources of egg imports are Malaysia, Thailand, and Ukraine, while a smaller portion is exported to Hong Kong and Chinese Taipei. The government and industry continue to strengthen supply chains and improve feed sources to ensure a stable and sustainable egg market. In 2023, Singapore ranked as the fourth largest egg importer in the world, with egg being the 176th most imported product in the country. In the same year, Singapore was also the 73rd largest egg exporter, with egg ranked as the 756th most exported product. Let's continue to 3.2 Factors affecting demand for egg. First of all, what is demand? Demand refers to the amount of a product that consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices. In simple terms, it is not only about wanting a product but also having the ability to purchase it. In Singapore, the demand for eggs is high and continues to increase because eggs are widely used in local dishes. Growing awareness of health and sustainability has also increased demand for premium and locally produced eggs. There are two factors that affecting demand for eggs, which the first one is price of eggs. When the price of eggs decreases, the demand for eggs is likely to increase because eggs become more affordable, encouraging households and food businesses to purchase more eggs. Other than that, eggs are widely consumed by households and food businesses as they are considered a staple food. The second factor is prices of substitute goods. When the price of substitute goods such as chicken, fish, or tofu increases, the demand for egg in Singapore is likely to increase because consumers will switch to egg as a cheaper alternative source of protein. This is because eggs are affordable, easy to prepare, and widely available, making it a popular substitute and other protein sources become more expensive. 3.3 Factors affecting supply for egg. What is supply? Supply is the amount of a product that producers are willing and able to produce and sell in the market at different price levels during a certain period of time. Assuming other factors remain constant, there are few factors influencing the supply for eggs in Singapore. First, cost of production. An increase in production costs, including chicken feed, labor, and energy costs, can reduce the supply of eggs in Singapore, as higher expenses discourage producers from increasing output. Second, import dependence and source country stability. The supply of eggs in Singapore is affected by its heavy reliance on imports. Since most eggs are imported from other countries, especially Malaysia, any problems such as disease outbreaks, bad weather, or export restrictions in these countries can reduce the supply of eggs in Singapore. To reduce this risk, the Singapore Food Agency (SFA) works to diversify egg import sources to ensure a more stable supply. Any disruption in supply countries will decrease the supply of egg in the market, while stable and diversified import sources will increase egg supply. 3.4 Market equilibrium for egg. In Singapore, market equilibrium for egg occurs when the demand from households and food businesses match the supply provided through local production and imports, leading to a stable price in the egg market. The market equilibrium for egg in Singapore is mainly affected by two factors. One, import dependence, where any problem with imported egg can reduce supply and raise prices. Second, consumer demand, where changes in preferences for egg can increase and decrease price and quantity in the market. There you can see the equilibrium curve. The demand curve is labeled DD and the supply curve is labeled SS. The market reached equilibrium at point E, where the quantity of egg demanded QD equals the quantity supplied, QS. The corresponding price and quantity are represented by P and Q. Any changes in demand or supply can create a shortage or surplus, but an adjustment in price will naturally restore the market to equilibrium. However, the market equilibrium for H is not fixed. When there are changes in the market demand and market supply, the market equilibrium for H also change. Among the factors that change the market equilibrium for H in the current market conditions are e-commerce, convenience, health, and sustainability. Commerce in Singapore are increasingly demanding H due to convenience of online shopping and growing interest in health and sustainability, especially among younger people who prefer premium, organic, or locally sourced H. As you guys can see, that is the curve of change demand in the equilibrium for H. The original market equilibrium is at price and quantity when the original demand curve DD intersects the supply curve SS at point E. With the rise in demand, the original demand curve shifts to the right from DD to DD1, while the original supply curve remains unchanged. This leads to a new equilibrium at E1 where the new demand curve DD1 intersects SS, showing an increase in equilibrium price from P to P1 and an increase in equilibrium quantity from Q to Q1. Next, we go to change supply in the market equilibrium for H. The factors is improvement in local production. Farms such as Chew's agriculture are adopting advanced technology and automation to boost efficiency, allowing domestic production to meet up to around 34% of demand in 2024. And there you guys can see that is the new curve of market equilibrium that changes supply in it. The original market equilibrium for H is at price and quantity when the original demand curve DD intersects the original supply curve SS at E. With the improvement in local production, the original supply curve shifts to the right from SS to S1S1, while the original demand curve remains unchanged. This leads to a new equilibrium at E1 where the new supply curve S1S1 intersects DD, showing a decrease in equilibrium price from P to P1 and an increase in equilibrium quantity from Q to Q1.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nushakina Natasha. So today I would like to present about elasticity of demand and supply. 4.1 The price elasticity of demand and price elasticity of supply for AIDS in Singapore. Price elasticity of demand, it is measure the responsiveness or sensitivity of consumer to a change in the price of a product. The price elasticity of demand for AIDS in Singapore is inelastic demand because AIDS are an essential protein for daily life. Inelastic demand is the consumer is unresponsive towards the changes in price. 70% of Singapore's demand for AIDS depends on import. Even if the price of egg rises, consumer will still buy them for daily use. Price elasticity of supply is to measure the responsiveness of the producer to the changes in price of a good. The price elasticity of supplies for eggs in Singapore is elastic demand. Elastic demand is when the producer is sensitive to a price change where percentage change in quantity is greater than percentage change in price. According to Asian Poultry, Singapore is working to increase egg production by establishing for chicken farms in order to reduce egg import. 4.2 Factor influencing the price elasticity of demand for eggs in Singapore. The price elasticity of demand for eggs in Singapore is inelastic demand because eggs are an essential sources of protein in daily life. Therefore, consumer will continue buy eggs despite an increase in price. There are factors influencing the price elasticity of demand such as, first, number of substitutes for eggs. When there are many foods that can substitute for protein such as fish and chicken, the demand is elastic because consumers have many choices. They also are responsive toward the changes in price. Second, time to produce eggs. Egg farmers need a long time to wait for chicken leg eggs. In the long run, the demand is elastic because the consumer be able to find better substitute. If in the short run, the demand is inelastic because the consumer has less time to adjust. Third, Singapore depends on egg imports. Singapore was import more than 90% of their food. Singapore is exposed to global food supply chain disruption. Singapore has sources egg imports from several countries due to limited resources. This is to ensure that demand can be fulfilled. Eggs are imported in several countries such as Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. If this country face problem in exporting, the egg supply in Singapore will be affected. The price elasticity of demand is inelastic.
4.3. Factor influencing the price elasticity of supply for eggs in Singapore. There are several factors. First, time to produce an egg in Singapore. The price of elasticity of supplies is elastic in the short run. This is because the process of producing eggs takes a long time to increase. However, the price of elasticity of supply can become elastic in the long run if producers are given a longer period of time to expand the egg production process. Next, technology to produce an egg in Singapore. Singapore uses advanced and modern technology to maximize egg production. As a result, the supply of egg is sufficient for consumer needs. Therefore, the price of elasticity of supply is inelastic. Third, cost of production to produce egg in Singapore. When cost of production is increased, such as chicken feed, labor, and land, producers are unable to produce egg in large quantities. 4.4. Implication to producer or consumer. Improve food security. Singapore has increased in eggs production. They aim to meet 30% of its nutritional needs locally by 2030. Singapore also seeks to reduce its reliance on imports, particularly from countries such as Malaysia. Then, vulnerability to disruption of egg in Singapore. Singapore is highly dependent on egg import from the other countries. Therefore, when a pandemic occurred during COVID-19, Malaysia stopped the export of eggs to Singapore. Singapore experienced a shortage of egg supplies.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Ashraf and I'm going to tell about consumer behavior in Singapore. First of all, we go to consumer purchasing decision for eggs in Singapore. It has market segmentation. From that, it contains price sensitive. This group prioritizes the lowest cost per egg, often opting for standard import egg from Malaysia or Thailand. Secondly, quality conscious. This buyer prefer locally farmed eggs like Saint Chun or Chews because they reach shelf within 24 hours. The alternative is derived from the farm to table speed and perceived food safety. Thirdly, we have value add seekers. Decisions are driven by specific attributes like omega-3 enrichment, selenium or pasteurization. And lastly, we have resilient to price hikes. Despite these significant price spikes in 2024 and 2025, demand remains resilient. This suggests that for many Singaporeans, eggs are necessity good. With low price elasticity of demand, they may reduce the frequency of purchase but rarely stop buying them altogether. Then we go for example of consumers' choices during inflation. For the first one, it has the income effect. As the general cost of living rose, consumers' real income drop. Many households shift from specialty eggs like organic back to standard table eggs to maintain the same quantity of protein intake while staying within a tighter budget. And the second one is strategic stock filling. During periods of price volatility, Singaporeans often utilize alternative maximizing strategies like buying in bulk from wholesalers or taking advantage of purchase with purchase discount at major supermarkets like NTUNC FairPrice to lower the price per unit. And for the last one, we move to factors that influencing consumers' alternative maximization. For the first one, we have price and budget constraints. Price remains the primary determinant. In 2035, while consumers have become desensitized to higher price, the substitution effect is visible. As premium egg price increase, some consumers switch to standard eggs to stay within their budget while maintaining protein intake. And the second one, product attributes. Alterity is not about the egg itself, but the bundle of attributes it carries. One of the things like size and grade. Grade A eggs are often perceived to offer more alternative per dollar compared to smaller firstborn eggs, through the latter or sometimes market as a specialty. And the third one, food safety and origin. In Singapore, alterity is heavily tied to trust. Eggs from local farm or those with the P label provide higher alterity to vulnerable groups like pregnant women or children by reducing the perceived risk of salmonella or bird flu. And the fourth one, ethical and environmental values. For younger consumers, alterity is maximized when their purchase align with their values. Factors like animal welfare or lower carbon footprints move the consumer to a higher satisfaction level, even if the physical product like egg is identical to a cheaper alternative.
Now, I will explain about theory of distribution or wage determination. Let's discuss about wage determination in perfectly competitive labor market. In a perfectly competitive labor market, wage rate is equal to marginal revenue production, and it's determined by the intersection of demand and supply for labor. Demand for labor comes from the firm which hires workers. When excess demand for labor and leads to shortage of workers, will cause wages to increase. Supply of labor comes from the worker who work to receive wages. When excess supply of labor leads to a surplus of worker, will causing wages to decrease. Next, I will explain about example of wage in Singapore. First, example for manufacturing sector. Workers with skill in industrial automation, robotics, and advanced manufacturing technologies command salary premiums of 15 to 20%. Second, example for service sector. The F&B sector has seen significant wage growth at the lower end due to progressive wage model, which has reached minimum wages for lower wage workers. Last, I will explain about factors that influencing wage difference. There are 5 factors. First factor is skill and education. Labor with skill and higher education receive higher wages, while labor has no skills and low in education receive low wages because they're willing to work for less. Next, wages different by sector. Economy is divided into 2 sectors. Primary sector receive low wages because of raw materials and low profit. Secondary sector wages will be higher than primary sector, and tertiary sector are paid the highest wages because require highly valued skills. Then, wages difference due to discrimination. Labor may be paid differently due to gender, age, ethnicity, and bias. Other factor is productivity of labor. Labor who contributes more to output or revenue are paid higher wages. Demand and supply of labor. Wages will increase if demand of labor is high and supply limited. Wages will decrease if labor supply is higher and demand is low.